Hey everybody, Scott Detweiler here. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to talk about mining Ethereum on my PC. So if I'm working in Photoshop or working in Capture One or doing something with my photography, I don't oftentimes need the hardware acceleration that my machine offers with the video card I have inside of it. So in the background, I oftentimes mine Ethereum. Now this is something I would not recommend you do on a laptop ever because it's going to make your laptop pretty hot. So do it on your PC. And again, it's not something I'm doing intentionally to say I'm making money with this process, and that's why I have my PC on. It's just something running in the background. And over the course of a few months, I think of maybe like $800 worth of Ethereum has been mined. So it's something that runs in the background. My PC is on anyway. So it's not costing me a whole lot of extra money because it is running. So I want to walk you through how I set that up. Now you're going to need an account at ethermine.org. You're going to need to download a miner, and I use Gminer. So that's a free open source application. I think it's open source. But I use those two pieces, and you're going to have to grab those, and they're free. And then what you're going to do is we're going to hook all that up together. I'm going to show you the script that I write that really, whenever my machine is idle, it is triggered, and it just goes and starts that process. Now, a couple things we have to watch out for. We'll make sure we don't spawn more than one at a time, because if we do that, we can actually overheat our machine and cause other damage and so on. So we don't want to do that. So we have some checks and balances. I'll show you how we check to make sure that we haven't set ourselves up into a trap like that. And then basically every few days, some Ethereum gets deposited into my MetaMask account, and it just keeps working. So I want to walk you through that whole process because I thought it'd be pretty valuable. I haven't really seen anybody talking about it. And again, it's just something I'm doing because my machine is on. Now, I'm not leaving my machine on 24/7 because I'm trying to make money with it. Sometimes it's on because there's different backup processes that run to back up clients' photography or do other things like that. But whenever the machine is idle, or if I'm at it and it's not idle, but I'm not doing anything intensive, I'll just let it run in the background. So let me show you how I got that all set up. All right, once you have your Gminer installed, or basically downloaded, because there's no installations necessary, you're going to see this is kind of what it looks like. And it's got all these bat files and an exe and a log file and so on. So what I did is rather than just calling this thing, I want to call it with some options. So I have this sed.txt, and this is what it looks like. It's just the configuration for the miner. So it sets the limits for what I'm doing, how I want to talk to Ethermine, and then the host for Ethermine, its port, my wallet address, and then if there's a password or not. So this is what it looks like. And obviously yours is going to vary because this address will be different, but almost all these other settings will probably be the same as far as I know. But this is what has worked well for me. But that's this text file here. And you're going to see how we're going to use that in a second because the magic happens right here, this mine underscore sed.bat. So sed is my initials. That's why you see me using that a lot. And this is what this looks like. It's very simple. It's not too scary. I'll walk you through it real quick. But this is what we're going to be calling. So first thing you do is turn off the echo so we don't see a bunch of text, clear the screen, set some variables. And I do is I set this here because we're going to search for this name. So what this for command or this for loop does here is it loops through everything in your task list. That's everything running on your computer. And it's got some options here, and it's looking for a specific image name, and that image is right here. It's this miner.exe. So if it does not find that miner.exe running, then it says starting miner, and then it runs this miner.exe with the option of config sed.txt, which is the file we just looked at. If it does see miner is already running, then it exits. So we do this so that we don't have multiple versions of the thing running because you will fry your GPU, and aside you'll get horrible performance the whole time this is happening. So go ahead and pause this right now and copy this down. I'm sure there's some sort of person out there who knows DOS better than I do who's like, oh, you should probably do it this way. It's a little bit easier. But this works great. I mean, the whole goal here is to try and spawn this once and not more than once. Now inside of the Windows Task Scheduler, which you can get to from the Windows key and typing in Task Scheduler, it has all the things that run all the time. So these are all those annoying pop-ups that say Corel Painter pops up and whatever. Come in and disable it. And that's really all you have to do. If you got a reminder, some other pieces of software you have installed, this is where all that lives. But I have a new one here called ETH Mining. And we'll take a look at the options here. So I'm going to bring up the properties for that so we can actually change them. Otherwise, you're just looking at it in a read-only standpoint. So this only runs when I'm logged in. The reason I do that is because if you don't, it'll run in the background. And if I want to stop it because I'm going to say start at Blender, I'm going to do something 3D or Photoshop needs extra GPU access, I want to be able to just kill the window. And I can't do that if it's running in the background here. But you could certainly do this, but for me personally, I wouldn't recommend it. And as I said, don't do this on a laptop, okay? Not meant for that. So to trigger this, we're going to do it when the computer is idle. And you can go in and edit the options. I mean, there's nothing exciting in any of these options. It's just, when it's idle, enable it. It's that simple. And then action-wise, this one is the tricky one. This is the one that took me a little while to figure out. So what we're going to do when we have an idle condition is we're not going to run the bat file. That actually does not work as intended. We're going to call the DOS command shell, and we're going to call it with some arguments. Now, the easy one to figure out right here is we're going to put everything in this Donald's Gminer, this current version, which is where we've been this whole time. So this whole thing here is going to execute inside of that directory. We do that because then we make our script a lot easier. It doesn't have all those big paths and whatever. So we're just going to run everything in here. So this is the path to where everything is. Now we're going to run the command shell with the following options. So it's a /b and a /c. And then we're going to say we're going to start that, and we're going to put the title of Ethminer at the top of the window. That's all this really does. And then the B, simple. There's a whole bunch of super geeky DOS reasons as to why you do these certain things, but the /c is the one you really need because you're calling a script. And then we're going to call mine_sed.bat, which is the one we just looked at. So that's that fancy bat that goes and see if miner is already running, then don't run a new one. So this is all that this looks like. But this took me a while to figure out because I kept trying to call the bat file from here, and that doesn't work. So this is the way you want to do this. And once you do that, I'll take a look at the rest of the conditions here. So it starts after a minute of just being idle. So if I walk away or whatever, or I go to a meeting or it's something else, it just starts, right? And then I don't even know why I have this one checked, but I'll allow to run on demand. And then history is disabled by default. Otherwise, that gets really long. So how do you know you got it when it's working? You just click run. You see, it doesn't see it running in the background. It didn't see miner.exe. So it calls ethermine, logs in with our thing, and starts mining. That's it. And if we click it again, if we go over and click run, you see it open the window and then immediately close the window. So that was that exit condition. So only one miner can ever be running at a time. This is important. As I say, you don't want to fry your machine. But that's it. And it just runs in the background. And I made a few $100s a month on it. Obviously, that's completely dependent on the price of Ethereum. But that's here nor there. And then when you don't want it, just close the window. It's that simple. And then we can go back to having a machine that's fully operational and not bogged down by the miner running in the background. So you can see from that process, it's not very complicated, and it runs just great, and you would never know it's even there unless you're doing something really hardcore with your graphics chips. So I'm using a 3080 card like we see, and I don't even notice when it's running usually, unless I'm doing something big in Blender or doing a lot of rendering. And then I highly recommend you turn it off just because you know that when it's idle again, it'll start right back up again, and it's not a concern. So good luck. Let me know how it goes.